Welcome to our channel. Today we are going to study a part of biology known as meninges and cerebrospinal fluid. We are going to study these parts with questions and answers for a better understanding. The first question we have here says, the two innermost layers of the meninges protecting the brain and the spinal cord are collectively regarded as dash. A. Leptomeninges. B. Pachymeninges. C. Meninges. D. None of the above. In this question, the correct answer is A. Leptomeninges. Leptomeninges are the two innermost layers of the meninges protecting the brain and the spinal cord. Studies have shown that meninges are membranes that envelop the brain and they also protect the spinal cord. The next question says, the middle layer of the meninges is best described as dash. A. Dura mater. B. Arachnoid matter. C. Pia matter. D. None of the above. In this question, the correct answer is B. Arachnoid matter. Arachnoid matter is the middle layer of these membranes called meninges. Studies have shown that there are three membranes that work together in ensuring or in protecting the brain and the spinal cord. The middle layer of that membrane is called arachnoid matter. The outermost layer is called the dura mater, and the innermost layer is called the pia mater. The next question says, the dura mater is also known as dash. A. Pachymeninges. B. Monomeninges. C. Dimeninges. D. Polymeninges. In this question, the correct answer is A. Pachymeninges. Pachymeninges is known as the dura mater. This pachymeninges is the outermost layer of these meninges protecting the brain and the spinal cord. So when someone is talking about pachymeninges, he or she is talking about an outermost layer of the membrane called the dura mater. The next question says, cerebrospinal fluid production takes place in the dash of the ventricles of the brain. A. Choroid plexuses. B. Xylem. C. Phloem. D. Parenchyma. In this question, the correct answer is A. Choroid plexuses. Choroid plexuses of the ventricles of the brain are the main site of production of this fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. Research have shown that the higher percentage of this cerebrospinal fluid is produced in the choroid plexus of the ventricles of the brain. The next question says, the arachnoid villi facilitates the transportation of dash into the bloodstream. A. Synovial fluid. B. Cerebrospinal fluid. C. Amniotic fluid. D. None of the above. In this question, the correct answer is B. Cerebrospinal fluid. The arachnoid villi facilitates the transportation of this cerebrospinal fluid into the bloodstream. These arachnoid villi help in maintaining the adequate level of this cerebrospinal fluid in the body system, because the ventricles of the brain produce this cerebrospinal fluid, but if the level of this cerebrospinal fluid becomes excess in the body, it can cause a problem. So what these arachnoid villi do is that they monitor the level of this cerebrospinal fluid and ensure the absorption of this fluid into the bloodstream. They keep the cerebrospinal fluid balance in the body system by draining some of this fluid into the bloodstream to ensure that the body don't experience excessive accumulation of this fluid. Therefore, the arachnoid villi facilitates the transportation of cerebrospinal fluid into the bloodstream. The next question says, the larger versions of arachnoid villi are called dash. A. Arachnoid granulations. B. Dura mater. C. Dura granulations. D. None of the above. In this question, the correct answer is A. Arachnoid granulations. Arachnoid granulations are the larger versions of arachnoid villi. Studies have shown that the arachnoid villi helps in reabsorbing cerebrospinal fluid into the venous system so that the fluid will now mix with the blood. But when the arachnoid villi continue to increase in size, they will reach a point when their size, when they will increase in size, and they will now result, or they will now form these arachnoid granulations. So these arachnoid granulations are the larger versions of arachnoid villi, and that's why these arachnoid villi can also be regarded as arachnoid granulations in some situations, just because of the fact that the arachnoid granulations are just the larger versions of arachnoid villi in the body system. The next question says, the spinal pia mater is continuous with the cranial pia mater at the dash. A. Sternum. B. Humerus. C. Femur. D. Foramen magnum. In this question, the correct answer is D. Foramen magnum. Studies have shown that the spinal pia mater is continuous with the cranial pia mater at the point called foramen magnum. The next question says, which of the following is true about the venous sinuses of the dura mater? A. They lack valves. B. They collect blood from the brain. C. They receive cerebrospinal fluid from the subarachnoid spaces. D. All of the above. In this question, the correct answer is D. All of the above. There is what we call venous sinuses of the dura mater. These venous sinuses are blood vessels of the dura mater, and studies have shown that these blood vessels lack valves. They collect blood from the brain and they receive cerebrospinal fluid from the subarachnoid spaces. All these things are facts about venous stenosis of the dura mater. The next question says, which of the following is found in cerebrospinal fluid? A. Sodium ion. B. Potassium ion. C. Chloride ion. D. All of the above. In this question, the correct answer is D. All of the above. Scientists have examined the chemical contents of this fluid called cerebrospinal fluid and discovered that this fluid contains some things in it, and this fluid contains sodium ion, potassium ion, chloride ion, and many other things. All these things are components of cerebrospinal fluid. The next question says, the dura mater of the spinal cord is separated from the vertebrae by a space called dash. A. Epidural space. B. Endodural space. C. Monodural space. D. None of the above. In this question, the correct answer is A. Epidural space. Epidural space is the space that separates the dura mater of the spinal cord from the vertebrae. Vertebrae are small bones that form the vertebral column. So each of those small bone is called vertebra. The next question says, the space between the arachnoid space and the pia mater is best described as dash. A. Subarachnoid space. B. Cytospace. C. Osmosis. D. Parenchyma. In this question, the correct answer is A. Subarachnoid space. Subarachnoid space is the space between the arachnoid space and the pia mater. Studies have shown that this subarachnoid space is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. The next question says, which of the following is a function of cerebrospinal fluid? A. It prevents friction between the brain and the skull. C. B. It cushions the spinal cord. C. It removes waste products from the brain. D. All of the above. In this question, the correct answer is D. All of the above. There are many roles played by cerebrospinal fluid in the body system, and one of the functions of cerebrospinal fluid is that it prevents any form of friction that can occur between the brain and the surrounding tissue such as the skull. This fluid ensures that the skull does not pierce into the brain. It prevents friction between the brain and the skull. Studies have shown that this cerebrospinal fluid cushions the spinal cord. It removes waste products from the brain. All these things are various functions of cerebrospinal fluid in the body. If anything goes wrong in this cerebrospinal fluid, if anything goes wrong in the production of this cerebrospinal fluid, there will be a serious problem in the way brain and spinal cord will function. They will not be able to do their job very well because they will be exposed to many issues. The next question says, a newborn baby has higher volume of cerebrospinal fluid in proportion to his or her body weight than an adult human? A. True. B. False. C. All of the above. D. None of the above. In this question, the correct answer is A. True. Studies have shown that a newborn baby has higher volume of cerebrospinal fluid in proportion to his or her body weight than an adult human being. The next question says, which of the following is the effect of cerebrospinal fluid leak on the body system? A. Dizziness. B. Headache. C. Neck pain. D. All of the above. In this question, the correct answer is D. All of the above. When cerebrospinal fluid leak in the body system, it will lead to dizziness, it can lead to headache, it can lead to neck pain. All these things are the effects of cerebrospinal fluid leak on the body system. When someone have an injury in the brain and it affects, and the meninges producing this cerebrospinal fluid is affected, when this cerebrospinal fluid leak maybe through the ear or any other parts of the body, it will now create an imbalance of this fluid in the body. And once there is imbalance of this cerebrospinal fluid, maybe due to leak or loss of it, it will lead to dizziness, it can cause headache, neck pain, and many other neurological issues in that individual. If this is the first time you are watching our video, if this is the first time you are joining this channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel so that you can study other topics that we have treated in many of our videos. In this channel, we make educational videos in the area of biology. Feel free to ask your questions in this channel, as we will be glad to respond to you.